Hey folks, Frank the Pest Geek here. So, it's about 6:40 in the morning. I've gotten up late today because I'm exhausted. Making coffee here, and as you can see, I bring my own laboratory of brew. I'm just exhausted. Where's my thing? My plunger and my coffee maker. So up at 4:30 yesterday because can't sleep when I'm in a hotel. I'm not in my bed. It takes me about 3 to 4 days to unwind in a hotel and get used to the bed. So yeah, my body's a little picky that way. So went to dinner last night with Joe. You're gonna see a great podcast. We recorded it all through dinner in a restaurant, and so. Yesterday was one of those grueling days at a reality check of termite, where we basically spent most of the afternoon looking at what happens when things go wrong, and what happens when we renew contracts that we know we should not have renewed, that canceled clients because of conducive conditions they didn't repair, and we kept renewing the contract on the termites. And, well, the customer didn't fix anything, and then it turned into a lawsuit against the company. So it's not. My water is boiling. Let me take this out of here now. That's right. I'm making some coffee. Give me a second. Let that steep there for a couple minutes while I talk to you. So it's just a reality check. This would be that class that I would send. It made me question. It really made me question whether I want to get into termites or not. The whole reason I'm taking this course is to learn what termites are really about, because I've never personally done termites. I mean, the whole process of servicing it is not that difficult. It isn't the servicing part. It isn't what equipment do I buy, how do I actually perform the service. The service is pretty straightforward when you're doing termite. You know where all the points are in the home that you need to treat. You either go with liquid or you go with bait. There seems to be a preference here for bait for many reasons that Joe discussed with me on that podcast, especially when it comes to Formosan termites here in Florida now, and baits seem to be doing better for Formosan termite than... Where's my cup? Than liquid Termidor is, and there's been the argument there of seems to be less failures with the bait stations than there is with just a liquid. Let me put it, give me a second here, so I can make my coffee, and you guys can hang out with me. So it's more about the whole inspection process. Again, we go back to identification and IPM, the basic simples of IPM. Do a thorough inspection of the home. And the biggest challenge with doing inspections is always, well, you're not giving your inspectors, salespeople, enough time to do a real inspection. They're going in. I just experienced that myself with a bunch of people. I asked how long were the inspector in the home inspecting. He said, well, he was only here 15 minutes. Well, 15 minutes, not a whole lot you can do in 15 minutes to inspect a home. I think I put too much sugar, so I put a pack in there. So I'm gonna... Wait a second. Yeah, that's right. I make my own French press when I travel, because most of the coffee that I've had in hotels isn't that great. So I have a preference of what I like. And yeah, folks, so the whole deal is inspections. I mean, if you're not spending an hour to an hour and a half on average, and how long should an inspection take? It should take as long as it takes to you to find what's really wrong. And then the technician comes in, so the inspector didn't find it, didn't note it, didn't document it. The technician is supposed to come in, and a lot of companies don't want to put all that detail in a contract, because then it pigeonholes the technician into what they're supposed to be doing, and the argument always is that sales and the technician don't know what they're doing. And listen, I've been a technician, salesperson my entire life, and the salesperson sells it, and then it's off to the company to pull it off in the technical aspect, and I've been there, so I understand that completely. However, the salesperson needs to be a master inspector, trained to inspect that property, to identify where the problems are, where the conducive conditions are, and protect the company against a potential loss. It's CYA, cover your assets. When you compensate a inspector purely on commission, and you put a quota and say the only way you're going to make money here is if you sell, then you create a conducive condition in your own organization that is conducive to selling anything because I need to make money. That is the problem with the industry. That is the problem that I find myself observing constantly, where it's easy if the technician, the salesperson is selling a GHP service. Hey, ants, roaches, it doesn't really matter what the salesperson knows about pest control, because really it is up to the technician to correct that problem. Yes, you do inform the customer of conducive conditions, and if they don't fix it, does it make the job more difficult? Yes, it does. However, with ants and roaches, we've done it, roach service in inner city HUD, where the hygiene was never going to get fixed, and we solved the roach problem. This is different when you're dealing with. Let me get over here, and I'm going to have a seat because I'm making some of you guys really dizzy. See here if I got a little light over here, and just I'm in my hotel room, so it's quite different when you got an inspector going in and to a home for a rodent job or a bee job, where it is up to the technician to remove it and to figure out the problem and to figure out how it is that he's going to solve that problem. It's quite another when you sell it and you sold it at $165, and it's going to take the technician 3 hours to clean that out, 2 hours, and then 5 callbacks, and the technician is also getting paid on production only, and he realizes he's going to do that entire job, and it's going to take him 4 hours of 4 man hours and 3 trips, and you sold it for $165, and yeah, he's going to make it up in the long run, but in the meantime, he still has to make 5 trips to that house because you undersold it. You made your commission once for running your mouth for 15 minutes that you were there, and you made more money than he's going to make on the job as a technician, but he has to make 3 to 4 trips. On top of that, the company stacks 15 stops a day, and he doesn't have the time to do that job right, and then this is where you end up in cancellations. Well, that's not a big problem if you get a cancellation on an ant job. if the B job takes much longer than he thought because he actually needed to spend more time there, the rodent job is going to take multiple trips. We know this. Those are all things that are known. And the problem that you have with this mentality of commission only, and if you sell, you sell, and if a salesman is a salesman, he's worth his salt, he's going to sell. The problem is you create a piranha pit where the salesman could care less if the company makes money, if he sells a job that later on the technician can't pull off. Because does the technician have the autonomy in the company as the expert, the real expert, which he's supposed to be, to say, hey, listen, this job was sold. The conducive conditions here are so bad that if you take this account on, you've got this potential lawsuit, and he didn't make the map correctly, and he didn't draw it out correctly, and he didn't see all the areas on the contract that were supposed to be there. He missed this wall, he missed this, he missed that. Does the technician have the autonomy as the real expert to override the salesperson, correct the paperwork, but wait, you've got a signed contract now that needs to be modified? Does the company force the salesperson to go back and fix it? Because every company that I worked at, outside of pest control, that I wrote up a contract, and then the technician went out there to do the work, and my calculations were wrong, I had to go back, recalculate it, tell the customer why we recalculated this, and make the deal happen. So I better make sure that I had my measurements right the first time, because when you're cutting a $10,000 piece of glass for a shower and it's off by 1/16th and it doesn't fit, you can't recut that glass on site. That's tempered glass. That needs to go back to the factory and recut that. That is a complete loss if I got that measurement wrong to a 1/16th of an inch. So you're talking to somebody that understands sales, has been on the sales side, on the production side, on the measurement side, and if I got it wrong, I had to go back. This is what I see that is wrong in our industry. This is why I take these classes, so then I can tell my technicians, no, it will be done this way, and you will walk away. This is why I'm a favor of salary plus commission plus bonuses for meeting KPIs. In other words, I am not interested in this massive growth. If the technician, if the salesperson feels that they need to come into this company and make $100,000 a year, but he's not going to have the time to do his job right, then you have all the competitive. Look, I understand competition, guys. I'm in business. I understand that if we don't close, we don't have the growth, but I'm comfortable with a 20%, 25% growth. A little bit lower margin on the profit. That we all make less as a company, all of us, me, the owner, the salespeople, the technician, that we're not focused on this, I need to make X amount of money. If you're a technician that needs to make $75,000, you're out of luck. But that we don't have all the headaches. That we have a smooth little running machine. That if I got to crank up the marketing and spend more on marketing, maybe with a little bit less sales, and we walk away from some deals that we know isn't the best thing for the company, then you have a healthier environment where people are actually feel safer, where people feel that, hey, yes, we're not making a ton, but we don't have all the headaches. We don't have the customer screaming at us. We don't have all the callbacks. We don't have all the frustrations. Am I going to create a Zen environment? No, because it doesn't exist in business. That's not reality. However, we don't have to go to the opposite extreme and just work in total chaos. This is what I'm evaluating now. If I got to hire a CPO now to do this work, but all contracts go through me. Where are the pictures? Where is the evidence of what you found? Where is the documentation? Where is it that it's supposed to be done, and how is it supposed to be done? And how do you expect a technician to pull this off? I have to be a mediator between the two. And if the technician goes over there and he finds that you missed something on that contract, how are we going to fix this? Before he actually does the work, he's going to stop the production. He has that autonomy. He's the expert on site. The technician is the expert on site. He's the guy that's supposed to save my butt. And this is why I want a technician coming to this course to see what he hasn't been taught in other companies. And then actually me as an owner respecting that and saying, dang it, bro, you're absolutely right. We should have never taken that contract. And we shouldn't. And before we take the money, before we make the sale, this is why I want a salaried inspector, salesperson, that he's actually going to spend the time to do the inspection right, because that's what I'm paying him for. Then, on top of that, the sales is the commission on top of that. And then how good he stays within those KPIs to cover our butt. And where we have no losses, where we evaluate all this and say, this is your bonus because you actually made us money. We make more profit doing this. We make more money doing this way. And you get a piece of that because you actually CYA'd us. So when we have when we foster an attitude and a culture of covering each other's butts in the field, then we have a system that is harmonious, that people really want to work here. This is what I'm striving for. This is what I'm going for in our company. Not the massive growth. I've already seen the companies that are growing at 50 to 100% a year. That they can't keep up with demand because they need to hire by the spring 4 or 5 more technicians. They're pulling off $2-3 million. They need to hire 5-6 more people by May because summer's coming around. Can we find a balance? It's gonna, and here is what the word is, the word that everybody uses, that nobody wants to discuss, and it's called greed. The reality of me as an owner balancing this and saying, yeah, it's out of control, the growth is out of control, we need to slow down the growth a bit. Be willing to take that step back and say, let's slow the growth down a bit. If the guys, but then the salespeople aren't going to make as much and they're going to quit, that's fine. As long as we have a culture that understands that hey, this is crazy, man. You're doing too many stops a day. You're not being effective. You're being sloppy. Like I'm measuring out how many stops a day my techs can really do effectively before I start seeing problems, and recognize that and say that's it. They're at their limit. On average, is about 10 a day to 12 max. If we're really compacted together and in route density, then yeah, they can pull off 10. We throw in a callback and an add-on. You're at 14. That's way too many. So we're focusing on that 10 where we can throw in a callback, throw in a problem, and throw in an initial. Now we're at 12 with an initial. and they're done between 8.5 hours, tops 9 hours. And it's about managing that. But if leadership starts from the top. If management doesn't have the autonomy to make those decisions, says, no, I'm not going to work my people 55, 60 hours a week. No, we don't have that culture of you making 50, 60,000 a year as a tech by killing yourself. If we keep our prices a little bit higher than our competitor, but we provide more value and more perceived value and real value, disproportionate to what they're getting, then we can do it. And that's a balancing act. That's not easy. That's not like, oh yeah, you have this pipe dream. It is a pipe dream in most cases, but it can be done because I'm seeing other companies that are doing this. Are there problems? There's always problems. Problems are never ending in business. But the problems we shouldn't be having is, making bad calls in the field. How good are we training our people? This is why I made this investment of coming here 3 times, taking the introductory course, the WDO course, the master class, to really have an understanding. Not that I'm going to know how to do termite, okay? But I have a thorough understanding of the business now, because I'm getting both sides. I'm getting the business side, which I do get. Joe has the business side. A lot of these guys that are coaching here have the business side. We're seeing the technical part, we're seeing the entomological part, and we're seeing the business side. And then it's up to me to decide how I'm going to apply this. It's not that I came to the termite course and now I'm a termite expert. I'm a termite informed person. And I think if every technician would run through this course, here is the problem. You're going to go back to companies that aren't going to, if the owner doesn't embrace, this is why me as an owner, I'm here. Because now I understand it. So when my guy comes back and says, we really need to change this, this, and this because of this, then I can have empathy for him, understanding, and say, you're right. I overlooked that. Let's go ahead and make those changes. And that's what it's really about. It's about me having an understanding as an owner of what they're going to go through and saying, yeah, we're not going to take on that client. That's too big of a risk. Let him be somebody else's problem. Let's walk away from that deal and be happy about it. And the salesperson saying, yeah, I agree. The technician saying, I agree. If both of them agree and they're both the experts I trust and they're trained right and they're covering my butt at the end, because that's where it really matters is, I'm the one that's going to pay out if something goes wrong. And they're looking out for my best interest. I guarantee you that as an owner, I'm going to look out for their best interest. Somewhere along the way, I have to make that up to them because they're doing the right thing. They should never be penalized for doing the right thing. And a lot of the times in most companies, what I'm seeing is people are getting penalized for trying to do the right thing because greed sets in, where I understand you build a machine, you build a monster that you have to feed called a company. And can we manage that to where people's expectations, we don't set the expectation that you're going to come in here like a lot of companies do. They drag people away, say you're going to make more money with me. But at what cost? I used to have my technicians saying this company's paying X amount. Yeah, they are. But understand, you come in at 8 in the morning and you're done by 3 and you're going home and you get to go ride bike. You're going to start with them at 7 in the morning and you're not going to be finished till 7 o'clock at night. And you're not going to have Saturdays off. And your callbacks are going to be 20%, the customer complaints, and you're going to be constantly doing 20 stops a day. With me, you're making 30% less, but you have a life. You got to decide. what it is you want. It's all about what we decide we want in life. Do we want the biggest, most money-making company so we can just expand like crazy and buy other companies? Do we want to be the company that says, after maybe I have a goal of 5 million, but if I feel satisfied after I reach 1.5, 2 million, and I'm satisfied and we're growing at a nice, decent pace, do I need to push it that hard to get to 5 million because I set a goal of 5 million and ride everybody super hard? If it takes me an extra 4 to 5 years to get that number, is that okay? Is the pace that I'm comfortable with, because I don't want the stress. I don't want all the nightmares. There's going to be enough stresses with growing a business and dealing with real employee problems and dealing with real issues. People get divorced. People die. People get sick. Things happen in the normal course of life that affects a business. Do we become a business family that we say, hey, we cover each other's butts, we support each other? And when somebody's out really sick, now if that person is, the weakest link in the group because he's always out, he's always sick, he's never at work, everybody's got to carry his weight, I'll let the crew decide if you want to keep him. You guys decide. Do we want to keep this person? I mean, do they fit in our culture? What do we do? And I think we need to make a lot of hard decisions. And what this has done is open my eyes to the reality where I sat there yesterday just thinking, do I really want to get into this for the money? Is it to do a better job than my competitors? Or is it the money? And I have to sit down and evaluate that. The money's great. And then I realized why I'm in business. Why I do what I do, why I named my company what I named it, why I try to do what I do, because we want to do what's right by the customer. We're customer-centric. We want to do what is right by people. I want to do what is right by the customer. I want to do what is right by my employees. I need to do what is right by the government. I need to satisfy everyone. And I had to really sit there and swallow hard and really think about this. And what I got to do is just hire a CPO that has the experience, the expertise, the real experience expertise, that he understands my culture, that he understands he's probably going to be leaving a lot of money on the table for in the beginning, but later he can have it with bonuses and profit sharing and a lot of other things, that he's going to leave a toxic environment that he's probably in where the culture isn't great. He's going to be able to breathe, enjoy his life, work in a team that really cares about people, and, decide if that's for him, versus a lot of money. Does he have golden handcuffs that he can't get out of? And these are all the challenges I have as an owner, of attracting that person, finding that person. It's a needle in a haystack. It's my job to find him, but I'm a salesperson. I'm gonna find him, and I'm gonna go through 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 interviews with people that I'm just not gonna be happy with until I find the one that I am happy with. And do I have to do this right now? Can I take 6 months to hire the right person because I'm not in a hurry? I can't. I don't have to do it right now. And that's the position I always want to be in, that I don't have to do this right now, hire a warm body, just because I need to fill a spot. I want to fill the spot with the right person. So these are the things that I'm evaluating here at PMU, what it is that we're actually going to be doing. And how do we actually, the how part, how we treat something is always going to be depending upon the structure, but that's going to depend upon the expertise. And this is why I want a CPO that's going to be a technician, that's going to be a salesperson. He's going to be the inspector. He's going to be the technician right now. And I'm going to sign off on the deals and saying, doesn't seem like a good deal. Let's forget about this. This is too tough. How many of these have you done successfully, and how many of these have you botched? Because just we can't help the customer. This is too far gone. And make that call as an owner and say, no, let's not do this. And pay him a salary so he doesn't feel that and pay him a good production commission for doing the work, and pay him a good commission so that at least if we does lose here, he gains here. It's always a balancing act. It's not a balance. You're never going to find a balance. So guys, I'm going to get to my yoga now because I got to get ready and I got to be in class by 8, and it's probably close to 7 already. So this is Frank the Pest Geek wishing you a pestacular day.